Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Third Fang. Just playing some FGO again, but I decided to do something a little bit different this time. I'm going to be doing some basic farming in the background. That's just going to be some visual entertainment, but I am going to start my own or or experiment and see if I can play around a bit, make some videos or series, and I will call it, or its name is Beta with a Third. Catchy, I know. Basically, the series is going to be my take and experiences on writing fan fiction. I've been doing it for, oh God help me, about a decade now. And basically, I just want to, share some of the experiences, what I know, maybe give some advice to whoever's listening and whoever might be interested. And it will last for as much AP as I have. So I'll try and, make it nice and simple and slow as possible. Even though I am probably going to blaze through everything because I have really good farming teams. Alright, so first episode, I am going to go over. Let's see. Yeah, I am going to go over. Most appropriate thing would be why fan fiction. Why did I get into fan fiction in the first place? And so, you know, it's also kind of a question or a reason for other people to maybe want to see if fan fiction is their thing or not as well. So, to explain why I got into fan fiction, I gotta go way back to the yonder years of college. And so, long story short, is I was bored. I was very bored. And the reason for said boredom is because, one, I originally lived in Connecticut, and two, a lot of my friends that were in Connecticut were just gone at the time, so I had nothing to do. So, guy in college, bored, where to go but the internet. And so after, porn was done, because obviously teenage guy plus internet plus boredom equals porn at some point, what I did was, I was big into Naruto at the time, and mind you, this is 10 years ago when it was still where the plot wasn't completely retarded. I was exploring around, I was, looking at comics, and then I came across, fan fiction, and I was bored, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna be reading porn or something on this. Don't want any more porn, but I came across this really good story. It was from Kyle Wynn, Kylewyn, and I believe it was called Here and Now, or Now and Then something. It was a time travel fic, big surprise there, and it was really well done, and it was dark, which I also kind of like doing. Well, it's also a habit of my style. I also get to pretty dark places. So basically, what ended up happening was I read through the stories and I loved it, and I thought the story was awesome. And so what ended up happening was I went through the story, I read it, I loved it, and I thought to myself, hey, this is awesome. I like this story. And then I kept on, and I looked for more stories like it. And I found a couple that were close, but none really. None that were as good. So I kept on reading a few more stories, and a few more. And to be perfectly honest, I was disappointed with, how a lot of the stories were going. And I was, again, bored out of my skull. And I thought to myself, I can do better than this shit. So that is how I initially got started with Yet Again. With a little extra help, which is my first story. It's my longest running story. It's my oldest story. And at times, it is my most crack-induced story. And for those that know my work, you're welcome. I do go to some pretty crazy places. So that's how I got into fanfiction, and it was really just a way to kill time. Now, I know that a lot of other people are going to have other reasons for writing fanfiction. They want to write stories. They want, their perspective on things done. They want, to practice their writing abilities. They want this, they want that. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. That's fine. And all that. But I just started because I was bored out of my mind in the middle of the summer. So, sorry to disappoint anybody that thought that I had some grand plan with all this, but no, that's really how I got started. So, that's how I got started in fanfiction, and obviously it grew from there. I was, I worked at I went to a tech college, so, I was stuck between working and studying my ass off, and writing fanfiction. And, for the first while, I didn't do that well, believe it or not. If you look at my stats or, whatever you want to call it, if you compare my story to other stories, people like my shit. But no, at first I was like everybody else. I was a slow growth, and the main reason why it got so big was because I kept at it. And I kept at it, and I kept at it, and I was apparently absolutely freaking hilarious to a lot of people. And after a while, word just spread, and it went from there. There's nothing really to go on about that. Now, that isn't to say that, if someone wants to write a sappy, love story, and that's not my specialty, I'll speak down on them because of that. Or if, they want to write their story, their version of things, I'll look down at that. No, that's perfectly fine. So long as, you do it well, you do it well, you're not, being a complete prick about it. I know that I seem a bit cocky in my author's notes about pretty much everything. But no, that's one of the key, that's just me. That's just me being a complete goofball. Most of the time I'm actually pretty low key. And honestly, that's one of the biggest things when it comes to writing a fan fiction or anything, or producing anything that people want to do, really. When it comes to writing stories or making a game or anything, it's before the story. If you want to get a lot of people, if you, whether it be your YouTube videos or whatever, before the story, before the animation, before XYZ, before any of that, if you want people to like your shit, ask yourself this when looking back on it, when looking on your work. Are you entertained? That is the number one key to being successful at, writing stories or making videos or any of that. Are you entertaining? Are you fun to watch? Are you making people or whoever's watching interested in seeing more? More. And, I mean, it seems really simple and it seems really dumb, but seriously, that's it. You gotta be entertaining. And, people find entertainment via different means. Like, some people are entertained by romance, by comedy, by whatever. Entertainment's still entertainment. If you do it well, people are going to come to you. And people will talk about you. If not, I mean, you're just going to be forgotten. A bit rude and blunt and to the point, but that's pretty much how it is. Don't know any better way to put it than that. So, so for those that don't know about my work, I always try and be entertaining. I always try to know my audience. I always try to put myself in my audience shoes. Is this something I want? Is this something that I would think is awesome or fun or hilarious or, you know, is this something that would make me come back? I mean, I don't put that to the front of my mind, but I reread, when I write my stories and I reread everything, I'm always going back, because I'm a little bit OCD that way. But I'm always going back, I'm always rereading everything, and I'm thinking to myself, is this good? Is this stupid? Is, you know, is this anything? And on the matter of, so, and that's the big thing, because I never want to insult my audience, unless it's as a joke that anybody can make fun of themselves for. Very self-aware. So, and you can see that in a lot of fan fiction these days. Like, the way I look for fan fiction when I'm looking for new stories is, I'm specifically on, I go specifically on fanfiction.net, not, because archive of my, AO3, archive of our own, it's just honestly a pain to navigate for me, because it caters too much to people who want to pigeonhole themselves into very specific niche stories, and I don't think it does a very good job of exemplifying how good the story is compared to all others in general by that. So I have a very simple way of looking for fanfiction stories when I'm on fanfiction.net. Basically what it is I go to the category, whether it's Harry Potter, Naruto, One Piece, all that stuff. And what I do is I just simply look for stories that have 100,000 words in them or more, and the characters that I'm interested in, or a character, like the main character, because that's normally like the biggest net to cast, and set it to English. And the reason why I have it at 100,000 words is because long stories are the best way to finding long stories are the best way to see if the author is really dedicated to making a good story. Because a person wouldn't write 100,000 words for a story unless they were really into it. And so by the time they post 100,000 words, you'll have a good idea of how well it's received by the audience. So, I mean, obviously it's not perfect, but it's a good filter. So basically, once I do the 100,000 words and see what's listed there, I basically see what the reviews to chapter postings are. So basically, if it has like bare minimum 10 reviews per chapter, that means it's caught some attention and people are interested. Obviously, my ratio is absurdly higher, but I'm not a jerk that way. Or I try not to be a jerk that way. But yeah, that's the way I look for quote-unquote quality fan fiction. And no, I try to... Honestly, I avoid stories that focus on smut or porn as much as humanly possible. Because, to be perfectly honest, it's just a waste of time. There's no real point. Because, if I wanted to look at porn or something, Pornhub, there's like, the XD,000 other websites that exist that have porn on them. I don't really care. If I wanted porn, I'd look there. If I'm looking at fan fiction, I'm looking for at least a good read. And so, I'm running out of topics. I'm just talking from the top of my head. Sorry guys. Next time I do one of these videos, I'll write stuff down and maybe practice a little bit beforehand. But So yeah, so I avoid stories that focus primarily on porn whenever possible when I'm doing fan fiction. I just don't see the real point in it all. I know fanfiction.net, supposedly kicks off a lot of stories that focus on porn or smut or whatever, but honestly, they don't do a real good job, and I honestly don't care one way or another. If you want to post it, go ahead. If you don't, go ahead. So once you ignore like the smutty stories, once you have the high review counts and all that, then you have a list of options. Then you have, it might take like a page or two to find a couple, but you find the good stories from that, if you stick to that ratio. Obviously, not all stories are like that, and there's a lot of good stories and one-shots, single chapter stories that that are good, that are below 100,000. But there are so many, half-assed attempts, people writing stories that quit after one or two chapters that I honestly, it's not worth the effort of trying to filter through them all. So, unfortunately, that's my 2 cents on it. Let's see, how much AP do I have left? Let's see. What else? I'm blazing through topics way too fast. 44, and it's 6:58. You know what? I think I'll cut it off here. If any of you guys have any topics that you want me to cover in the next video that I'll do, which will probably be me summoning for Grandpa Hassan, because Grandpa Hassan is the OG. Put a post down there, put a like on the video. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never really done YouTube in earnest before, other than scanning for videos. And thanks for watching, guys. I know I posted the video. I just want to say thanks because to everybody that's subscribed. Honestly, I just posted it on my latest chapter for fun. I didn't think I'd have over 100 subscribers like right off the bat, just from that. So, again, thanks. So, next video should be out soon, next couple of days, because that's when Grandpa Hassan is coming out. And hopefully, I'll be more coherent and everything for that time. All right. Thank you very much.